morning, gang. Joyce Welsh, Skipping Calves Farms here. Just a moment ago, I was finished setting up the paddocks for the day for the sheep, and I was over here by the Vermont cart, and I could hear something in the background. I go, that sounds like my bees. Well, my bees are all the way over on this side of pasture. There's no way under normal circumstances I should be able to see them or hear them. Well, there's a swarm. I can't tell if it's a mated queen coming back or if it's a hive that is swarming off. So I'm going to put you on pause for a minute and go over closer. Okay, gang, I'm back over here. I don't want to get too terribly close because I don't have a veil or anything on, but I've got pretty good bees, so I can get pretty close without too much trouble. I think, because I heard the noise for a bit before I recognized it, and as I first came over here, there were a few bees up here in this oak tree, a few more than there are now, and it may be that the mated queen was coming back and she rested in that tree, and now they do everything by smell, so now it looks like she's come back into 4620 AB, and there's quite a few bees there. Let's see if we can get a close-up and see if you can hear them. I can't see the camera very well, gang, so I apologize for the cinematography up front. If my memory serves me right, that was a hive that may have had, I'd have to look at my notes to double check, but I think they may have been, they may have superseded their previous queen. They didn't like their previous queen, so they made queen cells. When the queen cells hatch, then they go out and get mated. If the queen doesn't get properly mated, then she lays eggs that only have half of the genetics, so all they can make are drones, which are the larger male bees. And gang, I'm going to apologize. Oftentimes I misspeak. It's something I've done all my life. So if I say something like straw instead of hay, or something along those lines where I'm fishing for words, please forgive me. My head and my body move at different speeds, and I try my best. So be patient with me. There's one bee with the orange pollen that just went in. There's some yellow pollen coming in. And you see those bees on the box that are standing there flapping their wings. Some of them have their butts in the air. They're telling everybody the queen is here. Now there's also a bunch of bees on the other side of that hive. So I wanted to kind of get on this side so you could see the bees with the sun behind them. On this hive next to it, let me just give you a close-up here. See the bees coming and the pollen? Let me make sure it focuses. So those bees with the baskets, as they're referred to, that's pollen that they've collected from probably the better part of 100 flowers, if my memory serves me correct. And that's their main protein source. And pollen is critical for raising their young. Okay. So let's go over. I'm glad I got the split in the middle of my stands now. And look at this side of the box. There are bees all over the place. So, yeah. And see, all that activity is now centered around this hive. And there's probably 2 cups of bees here up underneath. So, you know, there's several thousand bees just on the outside of the box alone. Now I'm gonna shift away and pan back up to that tree that we were looking at earlier, where I said when I first looked over here, it looked like there were a bunch of bees in there. And now, as I look up in that oak tree, and we should have pretty good sun to see anything, it's dead quiet. So that must have been what it was. The queen stopped there and rested, and there was actually a small cluster, I think, at the top of that tree when I first got here. And now all of those bees have followed her pheromones or her scent. There are special chemicals that they use for keeping track of each other, etc. And so now that newly mated queen is now in this box. And so I'm not going to want to disturb them for at least a week or 10 days. That he'll give her time to get settled in and start laying for this new hive. If I were to go in there and disturb it today or tomorrow or in the next few days, she might just take off. And we don't want that to happen. So, not to leave these guys out, just that's business as normal. And so these are a little bit smaller hives as well. And as if you look, if I can kind of get here close without interrupting them too much, you can see that they are bringing pollen into this hive as well. So, and so with that, gang, without belaboring it, it is extremely unusual to be able to hear the bees from way over where the sheep were or are to where I am now, because I'm gonna walk right in front of this hive now and be quiet for a minute, and you'll see how much quieter it is. You won't hear, beekeepers call it a roar. You won't hear a roar, you'll just hear the normal hum. And there's a few backed up behind me, so I'm going to step away from the entrance. Step away from the entrance because if you'll look, all of a sudden there was a bunch of bees coming into this hive with pollen. They were backed up behind me and couldn't get in because they were just waiting for me to get out of the way. Whoops. I've got so much glare on the phone, it's hard for me to see where the camera is looking. But that gang is something that's very unusual to see. We didn't actually see the whole thing, but we saw about as much as most people are going to see unless you hear it coming in and or you're waiting for it. So that is a special treat this morning, and it was brought to you compliments of my office building, my office, and my location. So with that, gang, I'll just pan across through the trees and past the beehives down towards the south. And if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe and mark it so. If not, that's okay too. Nothing's for everybody. But no matter who you are, what you do, where you go, I pray blessings for you today. And whatever you do, just keep chasing the dream.